Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Decorate with Us. Today we're bringing you a tribute to veterans.
This is a Vermont officer. uniform, and it's all real except for the trousers and the boots. Everything else up here is real. The belt is pistol, ammo box behind, binoculars are real. Cap, pulse, and belt. And I know his name. I did a research on it. This guy was in this. This was a major that served under him, and he was shot in the belly in '62, and he was killed, or '64. His name is Major Cadwell, 6th Vermont Infantry Volunteers. And this is Major turned Colonel Johnson. He started out the war as a lieutenant out of West Point. He was in the 2nd Regiment Vermont Infantry, Volunteer Infantry. Unit was Union. Companies he served in was B and D as a 2nd lieutenant and captain. He mustered out of the Army. Here it says a major. And it has all the reference numbers and everything to his discharge. And that's about it. I did research on him, and he ended up actually a lieutenant colonel. I just didn't write it down. Yeah. And there's a sword, which I just got today. That ain't his sword that was assigned him, but it's the type of sword he carried.
Civilizations lost to time. I want to see the city as it once was. Wow, look at that. Let's go. They're the stories I want to tell.
This is Field and Staff Officer, CUS on it, on the basket.
Here there is something that is quite strange.
Pretty cool. Pretty clean. But I have some like this. And I think they use a special alloy to get them, have them like this. More of a presentation, I guess, than, these guys never use their swords in combat. They very rarely did they. They use them to line troops up and stuff, to give signals with, And I'm sure they rode in slashing sometimes if they had to get out of a tight situation. But this guy made it all the way through the war. I had to replace these. They cost $500 just for these shoulder boards. And the blue is infantry. The leaf is major.
It's a triumphant moment for the whole team.
And these are all Vermont buttons. They've never been taken off, which is rare. McClellan saddle, 1850. Shine that down here. Right there. What's the date on that? Right there on that.
51.
It's 1861.
61.
Yeah. All original. Except, of course, for the leather and the leather straps. I had to replace those. The plastic bag is actually it's an exact copy of the ground cloth, and underneath that is a blanket. And then there's a canteen. It's all original. It's dated. It says something on it, but I ain't got my glasses. Potter and something else, Philadelphia, is on the spout, pewter spout. And also what they did was they carried this is an imitation, but they carried their carbines in here on their horse like this, and then they strapped it around their shoulder and around their chest, like the cavalrymen shown here. This is a real cavalryman, all real stuff again. That's an 1861 cavalryman's jacket. Then in here you'll see the young drummer boy, and they pretty much stayed the same from the Civil War up until the Indian Wars. They weren't actual combat people. They played the drums up to the edge of the battlefield, and some got killed in so doing. This here is an infantryman, sergeant. All that's real, Springfield, 1864. His backpack, his blanket, the kits he used to carry with his plate, his fold-out spoon, and his broiler, what they call a broiler for coffee. All original. Original wine bottle was dug at Vicksburg. And over here we have bits and pieces of a Confederate officer. The interesting thing is his boots are real, his spurs are real, canteen's real. His sword is actually a Union sword, but it was used in Indian wars and Mexican wars out west. And his father, the owner of this sword, gave it to the son, and the son was joined the Civil War. He was living in Texas, so he was in the Southern Cavalry, and he became a officer. He captured a big old Union resupply wagon train just outside of Corinth, Mississippi, in 1864, I think it was. So he got promoted to an officer, and this guy really is the guy you're looking at is a major. You see the two stars, and that's about it for him because I can't afford the Confederate stuff. It's it's outrageous. I got some, but very little. This way, this is a horse. You know that by looking at him. But all the leather on him was used in the Civil War. And there's an artillery horse. All this stuff is real. This is the guy who probably rode on him, and he's a young light artilleryman. And this is his get-up, same as a cavalry, almost the same, except he would have this box here, which held fuses. There's a fuse box in here. And if you look down here, you'll see a mortar that was used in 1864 outside of Petersburg. And these cannonballs actually were fired in 1864 at the southern positions. And one, nowadays, more modern, one was found in a guy's driveway, and the other was found in the James River. So I think driveway and the river. See how the river's got it a little more ate up. Inside this is a fuse. It's a 10-second fuse, and it came out of that box, original. It goes in here. They put the powder bags in. Then they shove that in, tamp it in. They put the fuse in. This is a real fuse. And it's on a cord. And they pull the cord, and it will fire. 4-man crew. Took a 4-man crew to get that on the battlefield and operate. All right. Over here we have a kind of jumping out of context here, but this is a Rough Rider. Everything on him is real, to include his carbine, and that says where is it? Right there. Can you read that?
Model 1898.
Yep, Spanish-American War. He's a cavalryman, so he's got a sword also. That's an 1872 to 1898 sword. And pistol. His carbine over the shoulder strap has gotten way thinner compared to the Civil War one, which is really thick. Also, he's got metallic cartridges and everything. He didn't need to carry an ammo box anymore. He filled his pistol belt with cartridges like you see in the Mexican War or the Bandidos back in the you know, turn of the century, Pancho Villa and all those guys. This is an overcoat. I just picked this up recently, and it's very heavy. Civil War. What they wore, everything's hand done. All the buttonholes, everything, they're hand done. Pretty cool, though. This infantry, or was worn by an infantry, probably an officer. Looking at the bigger buttons, a better exclusive stamp. And you back up. This is a naval captain in the Civil War. And the uniform is the 1864 uniform that came out then, which was lighter, not as long as the 1858, come all the way down to here. So and the guy in the chair, here you go. This guy in the chair is a young ensign. You notice a star on his shirt sleeve and the ring around his sleeve, right? You see that? The same thing here. Yeah, same thing. Same uniform. It's all real. He's got a gorgeous sword. And this says U.S. Navy right here. USN. I don't know if you can get that on there or not. U.S. Navy. This is an 1858 officer's, naval officer's sword. There it is on here too. USN. Scabbard's really nice too for a leather scabbard. Unbelievable. Most of them are just cracked and there's just nothing left of them. You got to be very careful with that. Okay, let's put away. Yeah. All right, there it is. And this is again Spanish American into our war over in Philippines in 1906, 1907. This is in 1904.